The student who killed his teacher. 8 months. That's how long it's been since Emma's mother received that phone call that shattered her world forever. The phone call that told her that her 35-year-old daughter, bright, caring, always looking out for her parents, was dead, murdered. Mom, Emma didn't come home tonight. Where is she? She's been killed. The killer? Her former student. A 22-year-old man named David Park, who had been obsessing over her for nearly a decade. Tonight we're diving into one of the most chilling cases of stalking turned deadly. A case that shows how ignoring the warning signs can have devastating consequences. It was a quiet evening in downtown Seoul when police made a horrific discovery. In a cardboard box on the stairwell, between the first and second floors of an office building, they found Emma's body. She had been brutally stabbed multiple times in the face and neck. But what shocked investigators wasn't just the brutality of the crime. It was how calculated everything was. The killer had calmly cleaned up the scene, bought tape and water, and methodically packaged the body. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was planned. When police arrested the suspect just hours later, they uncovered a truth that would send shockwaves through the community. The killer was David Park, Emma's former student from nearly a decade earlier. Let's go back to 2009. Emma was 26 years old, working as a guidance counselor at a high school. Students loved her. She was warm, positive, and always willing to listen. She had that rare gift of making every student feel heard and valued. David was just another student in her care, or so she thought. She was so hopeful, so positive. She really listened to us. We felt like we could tell her anything. We all loved her. Former student. But somewhere along the way, David's admiration crossed a dangerous line. He began sending Emma romantic text messages and emails as if they were dating. He even sent messages to other teachers, claiming that he and Emma were in a relationship. Emma was horrified. She tried to set boundaries, but David's behavior only escalated. The messages became more frequent, more desperate, more threatening. The stalking took a dark turn when David showed up at Emma's home. He had been hiding nearby, watching, waiting. When Emma came outside, he attacked her, choking her, and attempting sexual assault. At the last moment, seeing Emma's terror, David stopped. But the damage was done. Emma was traumatized, afraid, broken. Here's where the story takes a tragic turn that would haunt Emma's family forever. David was only 17 at the time, a minor. Emma's parents, seeing a troubled young man, made a decision that would cost their daughter her life. They decided to show mercy. Instead of pressing charges, they forgave him. He was just a kid. We thought if we showed him kindness, he would change. We thought we were doing the right thing. Emma's father, David, underwent 3 months of psychological counseling and then left for the United States to study nursing. For a while, it seemed like the nightmare was over. David excelled in his studies in America. He was getting good grades, seemed to be building a normal life. Then, in 2013, everything changed. A mutual friend, trying to help David move on, told him a lie that Emma was getting married. The friend thought this would help David let go. Instead, it reignited his obsession with terrifying intensity. David dropped out of college and returned to Korea immediately. He began hunting for Emma like a predator tracking prey. He went to her hometown, asking questions at her church, pretending to be a fellow churchgoer. He showed up at family events, claiming to be a friend. He even visited Emma's parents, crying and apologizing for the past, all while secretly trying to discover Emma's whereabouts. When Emma's parents couldn't help him find her, David's mask slipped. He sent Emma threatening emails, referencing their past encounter, letting her know he hadn't forgotten. 2 days before the murder, David sent a chilling message to Emma's friend. He had found where Emma worked. His mission was complete, he said. He wouldn't be contacting them anymore. Emma's friend immediately warned her, but it was too late. That night, David posted a sinister message on social media. A murder threat directed at Emma. Emma had worked so hard to rebuild her life. She had found a new job, was trying to move forward. Despite the trauma David had caused her years earlier, she never imagined he would track her down to her new workplace. But David was nothing if not persistent. He had spent months methodically hunting her down, and now he had found her. On the day of the murder, David arrived at Emma's office building armed with a knife. When Emma saw him, she quickly got into the elevator, hoping to escape to her office on the 3rd floor. But David was faster. He ran up the stairs and was waiting when the elevator doors opened. The attack was swift and brutal. David stabbed Emma repeatedly in the face and neck, killing her almost instantly. But even after she was dead, his rage didn't stop. He continued to assault her lifeless body. Then came the most chilling part. David calmly cleaned up the scene, purchased supplies, and carefully packaged Emma's body in a cardboard box. His behavior was methodical, calculated, showing no signs of mental breakdown or loss of control. When David was arrested, his family's reaction shocked everyone. Instead of apologizing to Emma's grieving parents, they seemed more concerned about protecting themselves. David's parents offered Emma's family money, nearly $1 million, but with strings attached. They wanted assurance that their own lives wouldn't be disrupted by the case. When Emma's mother refused the money, David's parents showed up to court, laughing and chatting with friends as if they were attending a social event. I've been a lawyer for over 10 years, and I've never seen anything like it. When your child is on trial for murder, you don't laugh and joke outside the courtroom, but that's exactly what they did. Legal expert. David's legal team tried to argue that he suffered from Asperger's syndrome and was not mentally responsible for his actions at the time of the murder. They painted him as a troubled young man who couldn't control his impulses. But experts disagreed. David's behavior showed clear planning and calculation. He had methodically tracked Emma down over months. He came prepared with a weapon. He cleaned up the crime scene. He showed no remorse immediately after the killing. This wasn't the behavior of someone having a mental breakdown. This was premeditated murder carried out by someone who knew exactly what he was doing. Criminal psychologist. From prison, David wrote multiple letters to the court claiming remorse. My parents only gave me money but never listened to me or understood my heart. I felt like they only saw me as an investment. There was once someone I treasured more than anything in this world, but I ended up killing her cruelly. I deeply regret my actions and reflect on them again and again. But experts saw through the manipulation. He says he's sorry, but then immediately follows it with excuses. My parents didn't understand me. I was just obsessed. These aren't the words of someone taking true responsibility. If he were genuinely remorseful, he would simply say, "I'm sorry. I was wrong. I deserve punishment." Instead, he's still making excuses. David was sentenced to 35 years in prison, one of the longest sentences ever given for stalking murder in South Korea. The court rejected his claim of mental illness, recognizing the calculated nature of his crime. But even after receiving his sentence, David appealed, claiming the punishment was too harsh. 35 years for taking a life, for destroying a family, for ending the dreams and future of a woman whose only crime was being kind to her students. Emma's mother can barely speak about the case without breaking down. I thought by forgiving him years ago, we were doing the right thing. I thought we were helping a troubled child. Instead, our mercy became my daughter's death sentence. This case forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Sometimes mercy can be dangerous. Emma's family showed incredible compassion to a teenage David, hoping he would change. Instead, their forgiveness may have taught him that his actions had no real consequences. Stalking isn't just annoying behavior that goes away on its own. It's a serious crime that often escalates. The fear and trauma that victims experience is real and valid. And when we minimize these crimes or treat them as young love gone wrong, we put lives at risk. Emma lived in fear for nearly a decade. She changed jobs, moved away from family, and lived with constant anxiety that David might return. In the end, her worst fears came true. 8 months later, Emma's mother still can't bring herself to clean out her daughter's room. The pain is too raw, the loss too great. David Park sits in prison, still claiming his sentence is too harsh, still making excuses for his actions. Emma is gone forever, a brilliant, kind woman whose life was cut short by someone who claimed to love her, but was really only obsessed with possessing her. If this case teaches us anything, it's that we must take stalking seriously from the very first incident. We must believe victims when they tell us they're afraid, and we must recognize that some people cannot be saved by mercy alone. They can only be stopped by consequences. Emma deserved to live. She deserved to feel safe. She deserved justice. And her story deserves to be remembered, not just as a tragedy, but as a warning that might save the next victim. If you or someone you know is being stalked, please reach out for help. Don't wait for it to escalate. Don't hope it will just go away. Contact local law enforcement. Reach out to victim advocacy organizations and document everything. Your safety is worth more than someone else's feelings. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if this content was valuable to you, and let me know in the comments what case you'd like me to cover next. Stay safe out there.